Well, hey, it's Kim, and I'm so glad you're with me today as we begin our series about the Torah. Now, as we spoke, you may or may not have seen that video. One of the things that we are going to be addressing is the breakdown in the moral integrity of America. And our premise is the fact that we have what is known to be a Judeo-Christian society in America with over 240 million citizens claiming to be Christian, or in other words, having a belief in God. Now, with that, we also have one of the largest Jewish communities in the world outside of Israel. And so with that premise of this Judeo-Christian foundation, the question is, why is America in so much trouble? We should not be seeing what we're seeing if there's not a fundamental flaw in the Christian faith. So with that said, we're going to be talking about where the breakdown is and what to do about it over the next several weeks. So I think one of the first breakdowns in the Judeo-Christian foundation of America is understanding what the foundation of Christianity is. Now, that first and foremost is not the New Testament. So people think that the foundation of Christianity is the New Testament. This is flaw number one. In fact, if you believe that the book, the New Testament, is a book that you can build a faith or a religion on, then flaw number two, it is fundamentally flawed, that entire belief system. Three, if you believe the New Testament holds the truths of eternal life and life on this earth, flaw, check number three. All right? The New Testament, in and of itself, is a Jewish book. It was written by Jews, and with all sincerity, fundamentally, it is even written to Jews. And even in the writings of Paul, when he is addressing cultures like the Corinthian culture, all right, the Galatian culture, all right, you have to understand he is addressing these cultures as a Jew, not as a non-Jew. And so Paul is trying to work his way through the fundamentals of laws, precepts, ordinances that are rooted in what we know is the Torah. And he's really working through how to apply these core principles to heathens, idol worshipers. Even if they come out from idol worship to worship the one true living God, the God of Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, they still hold internally or intrinsically the patterns of idol worship, idol thinking. This is the reason that you see the Trinity doctrine so replete within mainstream Christianity. And yet the Trinity doctrine is rooted I mean grounded and rooted in idolatry. It's rooted in a belief system that was extremely foreign to the Jewish monotheistic teaching that was at the core of the New Covenant or the New Testament when it was lived out. So, with that, we have a problem. And that is, there's something so flawed, so outside of its faith in the Judeo-Christian existence right now in America that it is fomenting evil, wickedness at every level. In other words, it is the catalyst of secularism to a degree that could, if it is allowed, take America down. And you think, well, that would be impossible. Well, let's take a look at Europe. Europe was, quote unquote, a mainstream Christian continent. Not a Judeo-Christian continent, by the way. It rejected the Jewish foundation of the Bible, of the New Testament at every turn. It fostered doctrines and teachings that in turn caused anti-Semitism to be virulent. Just viral. You know how a video goes viral on YouTube or it's trending? Well, that's what anti-Semitism was doing throughout not only the Middle Ages, but from the turn of the century, from the time that the temple in Israel was destroyed, all the Jews were exiled. For the majority of all the Jews were exiled into the nations, and many of them went the way of Europe. Really, I think we would say even before the Middle Ages, way before the Middle Ages, but primarily in the Middle Ages, up until the Holocaust, from let's say 500 until the Holocaust, anti-Semitism was viral. Now, even before that time, there was a lot of, unseemly pogroms and a lot of murders from the time of, let's say 300, from the time the church the Catholic Church became the Catholic Church. Jews suffered at the hands of the Christians. However, a lot of the major pogroms and things that we read about, the bloodshed into the millions of Jews throughout Europe, up and through the Holocaust, started in the 1400s with the Spanish Inquisition, late 1300s, early 1400s, and then forward. Okay, so that's a little bit of, just a little bit. We're going to revisit even some of these questions, and we're going to go much deeper than this as to where the breakdown is in America. And I'm wrapping up by mentioning Europe. And the reason I'm mentioning Europe is because Europe believed it was a very strong Christian nation. And it's gone. It collapsed. Why? Because Europeans and Christianity in Europe, starting with Rome, had a problem, and it was outside of its faith. And being outside of its faith, it set in motion a decomposition of Christianity that could not be stopped, which ultimately ended in the Holocaust. So I'm going to go through that history as well as we go along and learn the Torah, the answer to America's ills. All right? Thanks so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video.